I want to thank my esteemed friend and ranking member of the Foreign Relations Committee for his kind words and support for my amendment. Today, as we debate the Defense Authorization Act, one of our most pressing concerns is how we deter Iran from further escalating their attacks. The decisions we make on this bill will have a direct bearing on the options the President and the military have available to keep our military, our citizens, and our friends and allies safe. The Senate is poised to vote soon on my amendment, Romney 861. It would reaffirm what has long been American policy. Our military is authorized to defend itself and to protect our citizens. Enacting this amendment makes clear to our military, as well as to any potential adversary, that America does not shrink in the face of attack. This is not an authorization to use military force against Iran or anyone else. It is a statement of continued commitment to our national defense. Under the Constitution, only Congress may declare war. But also under the Constitution, the President can defend against attack and can respond in an appropriate manner to an attack that has been made. Mr. President, as we all know, my esteemed colleague from New Mexico, Senator Udall, has proposed an amendment on a related topic which I wish to briefly address. We do not need the Udall Amendment to tell us what the Constitution already says. Congress alone can declare war. His amendment is clearly intended to limit the President in some other ways, which he has not yet explained to this body. As it is written, the Udall Amendment would dramatically limit the existing authority that the Constitution provides the President to respond to Iran. It would prevent the President from defending U.S. citizens, U.S. interests, and our allies. This is not only my opinion. It is the carefully considered conclusion of the United States Department of Defense. In its letter on June 26th to Chairman Inhofe, it states this, referring to the Udall Amendment, quote, "The Department strongly opposes this amendment. At a time when Iran is engaging in escalating military provocation, this amendment could embolden Iran to further provocations," end of quote. Tying the President's hands in some undefined way in the midst of the current crisis is misguided, dangerous, and surely sends the wrong message to both Iran and to our allies. Last week, the Iranians continued their provocative escalation in the Middle East. After weeks of buildup where Iran attacked 6 commercial ships and its proxies bombed an oil pipeline and launched a rocket into a commercial Saudi Arabian airport, Iran shot down an American drone over international waters. The Udall Amendment raises serious questions about how the military could respond to those attacks after the fact. Could we fire on the missile launcher that downed our drone? Could we sink one of their small outboard motor vessels that attached the mines to the ships that were attacked? Imagine for a moment, Mr. President, that if in the future another American aircraft, perhaps one that's manned by an American pilot, were to be shot down by an Iranian rocket. It's possible that the Udall Amendment would limit our military's options to subsequently respond to such an outrage. Now, I don't pretend to know whether Iran will continue its pattern of aggression, but I do know that when bad actors think they can escape consequence for malevolent acts, such acts are more likely to occur in the future. Now, I'm glad that Senator Udall's revised amendment concedes the broad point that our military has the inherent right of self-defense. But in the case of a rocket hitting one of our planes, the President should not have his hands tied in responding after such an attack in an appropriate manner. Note also that while the Udall Amendment provides for the military to defend itself from attack, it does not provide for the defense of our citizens. Iran could take this as an invitation to attack Americans abroad. Further, it would prohibit our military from defending or responding to an attack by Iran on our Iraqi partners, so long as it didn't directly hit our troops. Passing the Udall Amendment would effectively give a green light to Iranian forces to carry out attacks in Iraq, so long as they don't attack U.S. forces. And if Iraq were to attack Israel, one of our NATO allies, the Udall Amendment would not allow the President to respond. And finally, by carving out Iranian territory, the Udall Amendment would potentially prevent us from pursuing and taking out terrorists who seek refuge in Iran. Now, I oppose the Udall Amendment not because I want to go to war with Iran or rush to respond without carefully evaluating our long-term strategy and to counter Iranian aggression. I know no one who wants to go to war with Iran. I fully concur with my many Senate colleagues who desire to reassert our constitutional role, the role of Congress in declaring war. But to engage in this effort now and in an undefined way, and then to attach that to Iran when Iran has just shot down an American aircraft would send a terrible message to the Ayatollahs and to the world. I mean, think about it. Iran shoots down an American aircraft, and what does the U.S. Senate rush to do? It rushes to vote in some undefined way to restrict military consequence. That's simply unthinkable. My amendment is not about Iran. It does not even mention Iran. My amendment is about affirming the constitutional authorities that any president must have to properly protect and defend this nation. As the Department of Defense maintains, the President of the United States must always have the option of responding to attacks by Iran or anyone else at a time and place of our choosing, today and in the future. I urge my colleagues to support my amendment. Thank you, Mr. President.